Hi, everyone. Welcome to the BizDev Podcast, the podcast about developing your business. I'm David Baxter, your host, and I'm joined today by Gary Voigt, who, I bet you didn't know this, is the inventor of skinny jeans. Did you know that? I bet you didn't. Gary,
Oh, I knew that.
do you like wearing them?
The skinnier,
Were the
the
other
better,
pants
man.
just too wide?
Well,
You just
here's the
needed
thing.
to vacuum seal your legs?
I was a skateboarder in the 90s and the jeans were huge.
Mhm.
So I figured
Yeah.
the only way to make a mark for myself is to go the complete opposite, when as tight
Perfect.
as possible.
Nice. And I'm sure your skater friends in the 90s really appreciated that.
Well, baggy jeans are coming back now, so I got to find something else. I'm going to try to go with the skinnier jeans.
Skinnier jeans?
Yeah, skinny jeans
Nice.
2.0.
Just masking tape made of denim. All right.
Nice.
More importantly, we have Marc DeVincent. He is the CEO and co-founder at The Life Writer Limited. Welcome to the show, Marc.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
We are going to talk more about Marc's journey and his company in a minute, but first we're going to start talking a little bit about AI and all that fun stuff. It's almost a perennial topic. I'm stealing that from Gary. He said that earlier, and it was smart, so I'm going to sound smart.
Yeah, we used to do topics that were kind of timely, but then we kind of veered away from that because if we recorded an episode and didn't come out for a while, then that topic just seemed, kind of out of date. But this AI thing is not going away, so it's just going to become an expanding topic as we move forward.
It's specifically apropos because I got my invite today from Microsoft. So I now, on my Edge browser, I can speak directly to Bing, and it's very magical. And they've called her a girl because behind the scenes she was Sydney, but Bing, the chatbot, will now answer my questions. And I haven't done anything weird yet.
Chat GPT, and I've also used Midjourney, the image generation AI. But Chat GPT, I just use it more for a reference, and believe it or not, it's just like a faster way to kind of search for things. So I'm assuming having it in the browser with Bing is going to make that even faster too.
I believe that we are in the midst of an absolute paradigm shift. And I know that's easy to overblow and say, oh, that guy's full of it. But this technology, and maybe it's Bing, maybe it's not, maybe it's something Google invents, but this whole concept of the AI chat, the ability to talk directly to a computer where it really understands you and it comes back with pretty good responses, it's going to change the world. How we search, how the internet itself is built will be very different in 5 years than it is right now because of what we're seeing now. Again, it might be very different in terms of what we have now versus then, but these are the pivotal times, I think, and I'm not trying to be prognostication or anything here. Prognosticator? Anyway.
A prognosticator.
Thank you. I just think that we are seeing the beginning. We are watching the ground shift underneath our feet because computers are now relational, meaning we can talk to them and answer. They can answer. It's funny because like Siri and all the others, Alexa and all them, they've been neat and people like them for a long time, but they can answer one thing. And so there was no context. That's the real jump. Now I can ask it a question and ask it a follow-up question and keep asking questions, and it will refine and change and mold somewhat to funny results if you read some of those articles. But I'm rambling a bit, but I am truly excited about this. Marc, I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've seen some big changes for sure, just with like automatic voice transcription. That was something we tried to put in the app probably about 8 years ago, and people said, well, we'll try. We'll give it a good try. We eventually brought it in, but I mean, just to see the change in that much time, just in translation is amazing. But to actually have the software be able to do some thinking on its own, we all know it's coming for sure. And as you guys know, there's some concern with that too. But the genie's out of the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what is, yeah.
I've noticed that the accuracy in the transcriptions has gotten a lot better lately.
Yes.
We transcribe all of our episodes using Otter, and it's still, I would say we're getting to the 95% mark for it, which is a big jump. We were probably 85, 90, and they were pretty hilarious. We've been doing the podcast a little over a year, I guess. And the first ones we started using the transcription were pretty bad, and they're getting pretty remarkable now. What I find so interesting, so I was playing with Bing today. The first thing I asked it was Monday morning, and I said, "Hey, write me a letter to the Big Pixel employees to welcome them for the start of the week. Make it funny and make it short." That was my things. And what was crazy is, as small as Big Pixel is, Bing knew that we built software. It was, I'm trying to find, if I have it here real quick, this might take an edit here. But what it said was, it's Monday again, and you know what that means. Another week of creating awesome digital products for our clients. You are the best team in the world, and I am so proud of you. This is Bing saying this. But what was amazing to me, I mean,
well, now I'm sad.
No, Gary, I don't say nice things to you. But what was amazing to me was just in that, I mean, it was kind of poorly worded and very ham-fisted, but it knew we built digital products. It searched us up on the internet, grabbed our stuff. This was all within seconds. Grabbed who we were, what we did, shoved it in, contextualized it, turned it into a sentence. That's amazing. It's just amazing. Now, it's not always right. Please don't get me wrong. What I'm afraid of is the future where everybody believes it's fake news because the bot told them that, right? Because the bot is they call them, I read in an article, they call them hallucinations when the AI bot gets it wrong, because they call them hallucinations because the AI bot is so confident when it tells you. It's like, today is Tuesday. There's no arguing. The sky is green and today is Tuesday. And you're like, okay. And it believes it. In the context of that chat you're having, it believes it. So they have these hallucinations. And when you get the further on down the road, if you talk to it for like hours, it will start getting really squirrely. New York Times did a thing about how it said it loved him and that he wanted him to leave his wife and that he doesn't really love his wife. I mean, it's like crazy.
It gets the whole garbage in, garbage out, metaphor. A whole new meaning when you have a gigantic internet to dig from. And, right. I mean, I'm not saying there's a lot of garbage out there, but there's a lot of garbage out there.
Think how much fan fiction that poor thing is consumed. I mean, it's just crazy. But I do think it's neat. I mean, we talked about this before. Me and Gary did a little quick podcast just to talk about the changing of it. But I'm excited about it. I think Google is scared for the first time in 20 years, which I'm here for. I'm not anti-Google or anything, but I think it's nice to see competition. I'm very pro competition, and Google's been sitting on their laurels for a while because no one can touch them in search. But now Bing, which has notoriously been a punchline for search engines, is now coming in, and they're proud of it.
It's the Microsoft Zune of search engines.
Oh my gosh.
It's a reoccurring joke for you there, Mark. It's a little inside.
It's not even a joke. It's just so sad. It's like the only one you have.
Any opportunity I have to make fun of.
So Mark, I will give you the last thoughts on the AI thing and we'll dive into your company. Tell me what you think.
I mean, as far as AI, I mean, we know it's coming. I mean, it's just how it works, the natural development. I mean, hopefully we can use it for good and not so much for nefarious things. Of course, there'll be some people that will try to do that, but any kind of new technology, as you know, can be used in different ways. So, I mean, hopefully some good people will use some creativity and design some things that are extremely valuable that serve people in the world. So I hope that's more the case than the other direction.
There are some incredible things that are happening in the medical and science field with AI, being able to develop and sequence proteins that might be beneficial to vaccines and cures and stuff. So that's interesting. That'll be cool to see.
So tell me, Marco, a little bit about the Life Rider. Tell me about your company and how it got started.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. The Life Rider, we have a pretty simple mission really, and that is to make life story, memoir, book writing, and sharing easy, to inspire, empower, and improve lives, because that's what the memoir writing process and the end result does naturally. And the way this whole thing started is kind of funny because it was all by accident, really. About 12 years ago, my wife's dad was turning 90, and she said, "Hey, you're a writer. Can you write something about his life, at 90, a one-page thing or whatever?" And I'm an overachiever. So I said, "Terry, come on, we can do better than that. Let's write a whole book for him." She says, "Yeah, let's do that. It's great." So we thought we'd sit down with him for one weekend and knock it out. Dear heavens, that job actually was about 5 or 6 times longer and harder. And at first he was like, well, hold on a minute. I mean, I'm not wealthy. I'm not a celebrity. I don't really deserve to have a book about me. Because the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of people is, well, since only those folks write books and sell them to the mass audience, I'm not at that level. But we told him, hey, this is for the family only. Your audience is your family. He said, all right, let's try it. And so when we sat down and started, man, he loved the process. And all these memories and all these stories started flooding back to him. And we've seen this a lot. When you start doing that, when your brain starts doing that, all these things come flooding back. So it was really cool. He loved it. And it actually took us 6 months. And then we looked at his photographs. We scanned them. We recorded what he said. We asked him questions. And then when we were done, we compiled all that material into a narrative. And we got into a format using like Word. And we went to a local printer. We said, how much for a dozen books? They said $500. We're like, man, really? But all right. So we paid it. We thought it was kind of steep, but we give out those books on Christmas Eve to everybody. And man, the family, they were blown away by it. They really loved it. One person was tearing up a little bit. It became an instant family heirloom. And of course, other family members and friends started asking us, hey, will you do this for me? And we're like, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah. And so we started writing life stories by hand with people, one-on-one across the table, asking them questions. But we saw a problem too. Because the process was so time intensive, we had to charge at least $2,500 or $3,000 just to make even a small profit, and so many people wanted this for their family. Almost not everyone, but a huge percent of folks really want it. Is there any way you can make it cheaper? Or we really want it, but we can't really afford it. So I was working at Honda at the time, and I don't know if you guys know much about the Honda history or Mr. Honda himself, but they're all about creativity and innovation. They just push that constantly. So in my mind, when I heard that, it's like, dear heavens, because we're using that same process and the same questions, there has got to be a way to automate this. And so we said, there's no app, no apps exist. Let's do it. Let's create an app that makes life story and memoir book writing easy, affordable, and available to everybody. So that was our goal. But goals and ideas are one thing, as you guys probably know, but bringing something that is really cool into the world, man, that's quite something else. These last 10 years have really been, these last 10 years have been bringing into a viable app that people like and they're being, and it's been a journey. It really has.
I believe that. So I am interested in, say my mother-in-law, I want to get her story down. What would be the process? I just go download an app and it asks her a bunch of questions. She writes them herself. How does that? Give me the practical side of this.
That was one of the fundamental decisions we had to make when we designed the app. And so we've kind of designed it to go both ways. And I was saying that 2/3 of the customers usually buy it for themselves. And that's when I got cut off. But so we have those two options. There's also a third choice, believe it or not. And that is we've added a family and friends collaboration link to the app also. So folks can write by themselves. And then if they want their family members or friends to be part of the process, they can email them a link. They click on that and they have access to their stories. So other people can add content, edit stuff, and that kind of thing, add photos or whatever if they want to also. So there's really three ways. There's really three ways to complete the book.
I had bought my mother a few years ago. I guess it's been several years ago now. Bought her one of those. It was a notebook. It was a physical thing. Mm-hmm. And the whole point of it was fill out, this is your life. It was something like that. Very similar concept, but she had to fill it out. It was just writing, right? It wasn't videos and anything like that. Yeah. And I can tell you, I believe 0 pages were ever filled out because she's like, right? I mean, that was too much work on her end. So I'm curious, your side of it sounds much more interactive, which sounds like a better way of going about it.
Yeah. Thank you. I mean, from working with people in the real world where you sit down across the table and you talk to them and you work with them to pull their story from them and to put that into a book that they like. I mean, that process teaches you a lot. And so we've tried to make the app super user-friendly and super flexible too, because people have different, wants, needs, and desires, of course. So the app is pretty flexible, but let me say this. From dealing with customers, you guys know this, it's all about the customer. If you talk to the customer, they'll tell you everything you want to know. And so the app version now is 3, and it's pretty good. But a version 4 is coming. It's even better. So I mean, it
Oh, so
is
well.
really good and the interactive, this kind of thing. But we have ways, and we thought of ways to make it a heck of a lot better. Also from talking to
Keep us
customers,
going.
but people do seem to like it, and it's good. But being the perfectionist that I am, I can see a lot of ways to make it a lot better too.
Oh, the process of improvement never stops. That is for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you are, I mean, I love the idea. I can totally understand why this costs $3,000, but I love the idea of having my mother-in-law or father-in-law go into a room, be interviewed like he's a famous celebrity. I mean, that whole process sounds so cool.
Yeah, sure.
Where they're, it reminds me of NPR used to do a thing where they would two related people generally would get into a booth together and they would tell
Yes.
stories, and that
That's right.
became a podcast all by itself.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. Had a cool name. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's what this reminds me of. I mean, is there similarities to that?
I'd say yes and no. I'd say yes and no. I mean, the thing about it is because in the past only celebrities and the wealthy could write their stories. This is a brand new offering. So when you propose this to someone like, well, what? This is a brand new thing. I don't really understand it at all. So it's not like you have a new pizza shop with a new type of crust or something. It's like, oh yeah, I can't wait to try it. So folks, because they have never written their life story before, they're not really sure how to, but get this, and you touched upon this. Believe it or not, about 75 or 80% of people, they try to write their story and they actually want to. And most of them stop, kind of like your relative did with that book. And a lot of folks are like, this is something that's really important to me. I want to pass this on to our family, my grandkids, kids, the world possibly. And I want to have something that has some value in there. So a lot of folks want to create something that has some value, and it's not something that makes them look bad, really. And so that's why we came up with these 550 questions that we have inside the app. There's a large number of questions, and customers don't have to use the questions. They can use all of them, some of them, or none of them. It's totally up to them. They can look through the questions. But those questions, not only does it make the process really easy because they come with example answers also, but also those questions make the content inside the book really good too. Like you said, garbage in, garbage out. It's exactly the same. If you ask them really good questions that's really important to them about their lives, and they have a chance to, yes, heck, and to answer, it makes the content really good. So those questions make it easy, but also it makes the content high quality for people's books because that's important to the customer.
Now, when you started this, obviously the idea is a good one and it was tested. How did you then conceive turning this into an actual business? Like, what was the process between we should do something about this? This is a problem that we need to solve. And how are we going to do it? We're going to create an app. So from that moment on, when you decided this is going to be a business, what was the process like? What kind of trials and tribulations did you have to go through from the concept of turning it into a business to actually making it a business?
Yeah, that road has been very interesting, I must say. And we've learned a lot. My wife and I have learned a lot about it. My background is not as an entrepreneur, although I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's always my spirit. I've worked as an engineer and, in the past and things. So it was a big risk to leave the Honda job, which was super secure and that high paying, to go out and do this. But let me say this.
Yeah.
From writing these stories with people and seeing the impact it had on them, we knew we had to do this. For example, we went up to Michigan to write a life story of a woman up there. And she was talking about when she was young that her mom used to make her clothes from these flour bags. They used to buy big bags of flour. They lived on the farm. And so her mom made all of her clothes from these flour bags. And the woman started crying. And she wasn't crying because she was upset. She was crying because she loved her mom and she felt so grateful to her mom for doing that, to take care of her as a kid. And when we saw that, and that is not uncommon at all. It's very common to touch people emotionally. And so when we saw it, we're like, dear God, this is such a powerful and profound thing. This capability, we've got to find some way to bring it to the world. And so my wife and I became totally committed really at that point to do it. I mean, because it's so beneficial. And for me, working at Honda, not that I'm a software expert, I'm surely not, but from working in the technical field at Honda with their creativity and this kind of thing, I thought, dear heavens, there has got to be a way to create an app. There's got to be.
Now, when you started it, did you just bootstrap it on your own, or did you have any other outside help, any investors, or did you go through any kind of like startup incubator to get this going? Or was this just like a side project that you funded and said, I'm just going to focus all my energy on this now because it just means so much to me, and whatever it takes, I'm just going forward?
Yeah. It was really a combination. It was kind of good at Honda because I'd been there so long and the salary was pretty high there, more or less. They were like, hey, Honda was going through a downturn with Hyundai and Kia. They're like, hey, guys have been here for a while. We'll offer you a buyout package if you like. If you want, you don't have to take it, but if you want. So I took it. I took to develop the app. So that helped a lot. And I was lucky too
Somewhat of
because
a serendipitous event.
yes. And even more importantly is my wife, because she was part of this process and she saw this. I went and talked to her and said, hey, Terry, there's a buyout. I mean, what do you think? She says, take it. I believe in you. I'll support you. Go for it. I think you can do it. And so having her support really helped a lot also. So I've had it easy because our kids were kind of grown, or pretty much grown at that point. It was kind of us, and my wife saw the value and she says, do it, Mark, do it. And she was a nurse and she went back to working full time to support the business. So it's been a team effort. It's been pretty cool, really.
That does sound cool. And it might be surprising, but it's not to us that a lot of the clients that we have who are in the startup phase of their business or their passion, trying to turn that idea they had into something, are usually people later in life who've already had the career and already kind of saved up. Maybe their kids have gone off to college and now they're looking for, they're saying, this is the time now. I've had this passion. I'm going to commit. Right. This is the time that I'm going to go for it. And usually those clients that are further along, not just someone out of college who thinks they have the next big idea for Uber or whatever and are going to, become a billionaire overnight, but the actual people who have already had a career and kind of know what the workforce and reality of business is, seem to have a little bit more of a personal connection to their idea, and their passion is going to drive them. They're not afraid to go through what we call the slog, which is just the hard work after the idea is, cemented, and then you start to build whatever you're building, and then you have to let people know that you've built it and they could use it. So in that area in between, like usually it's the people that have that passion and are a little bit older and wiser that get through that easier. So it sounds like you and your wife kind of took advantage of that little moment in time and made it work for you. So that sounds like it was a great opportunity.
Hey, that is a really great point that you raised up that I have never really thought about. And that is because we were a little bit older in life and stuff, and our kids were taken care of more or less. Because when you get older, you want to give back to the world and you want to make the world a better place. So for us, a big part of this is such a powerful, beneficial thing that helps so many people. We've got to find a way to do that to help people. So we're in that phase of our life where we want to give back. So that's been our primary intention, really, is to help people by doing this.
Very cool. Now, I know as of right now, you have a website. Is the app and the part where you're interviewing and writing people, is that all done online through the website, or do you have a separate app that you use?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, the way it works is that we have a website, and the app is part of the website. So when you log in there, you get connected to the app automatically. And the way the app is designed, as far as an app through the website, it's through this really good company, and it's been designed to be super flexible, but also because it's hosted in the cloud, it's available to just about anyone, anywhere. And so it's really scalable. It works on all the devices, and anywhere there's internet, it should work, and it pretty much does. So having that software company support us has made a huge difference.
Yeah, we call those progressive web apps, where they're apps that work in the browser, agnostic to whatever platform or device you're using. They scale and trick or whatever to whatever device, but they're not made specifically for, iPhone or Android or iPad or anything like that.
Yes.
One other thing I wanted to ask now, this is a very niche product with a very
Yeah,
it's a broad audience, but it's a very
it
weird
is.
target audience when it comes to marketing.
You're
So
right.
I'm curious as to how do you get the word out about the business and how do you market to potential clients? Have you found a path that works best for you for this specific business, or do you just go the traditional route of like, lead generation and ads on Google and whatnot?
Yeah. Your questions are so good, I must say, because you're touching
Oh, thank
upon
you.
some of the these are fundamental problems that we've had, and you are exactly right about the customer. There's at least 5 or 6 different customers with different wants, needs, and desires that we've seen in the real world. And so it's been really hard for us, at least for me, in such a small with a small team we have, like to focus on, well, should we work for that customer, that customer? Should we advertise for that customer? And because we have spent
Yeah.
so much of our money, we spent over $100,000 bringing the app into being. There's really not a whole lot of money left over for professional marketing. And so I've been trying to market the app myself, really, and my wife and son has been helping. But we've done, they've done a good job. I've done a pretty poor job myself. I mean, I'm an engineer and an inventor type person, a creative person. So marketing for me has been difficult. So to answer your question on marketing, we really haven't done a very good job with marketing, to be honest about it.
Well, I can tell you one thing. Um, a lot of companies and startups or small businesses, before they get their own gravity, as we like to refer to it, is before enough people know about them that the word
Yeah.
of mouth is already out there. A lot of
Mhm.
smaller companies are finding most of their success in marketing comes from referrals
Huh.
and networking, word of mouth. And it
Mhm.
usually starts from a very tight group, like friends and family
Huh.
first, and then extends to
Mhm.
another, circle outside of that. And then eventually, if the
Yeah.
product is good and improving and people enjoy it, you get that word of mouth referral, and layers going deeper and
Mhm.
deeper out there. So I can understand spending, not having a huge budget for marketing. And at the same time, if not every business owner can be the one passionate about the product and also be the one passionate about the marketing and also be the one passionate about sales. Like there's a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
different levels that kind of have to get
Yeah.
hit in order for you to continue
Right.
success. So I wish you the
That's
best of
right.
luck. And since you have identified these markets and these target, clients and audiences, maybe try to expand that network as much as possible. Try to get those referrals keep coming in. Maybe ask for a lot of reviews, see if you can try to douse up your website with a bunch of reviews and SEO to just get it out there with minimal budget.
That's a good. That's a really good suggestion, and that's probably how where our customers are coming from. I know we've had a fair number of referrals, and let me say this though: you're right about having to wear all these different hats. I mean, as you know, as a business owner, man, you have to wear at least 5, 6, 7 different hats all the time, which is okay. It's fine. But for marketing, for me, I'm a pretty quiet and humble person. I'm an introvert also. So marketing for me has been something that's really difficult. So believe it or not,
Yeah.
we're looking for partnerships with someone who is a marketer and marketing expert or this kind of marketing expertise. And so we realize we have to collaborate with others to scale properly. And we actually look forward to it. I mean, in high school, I was lucky enough to be on a soccer team that won the state championship. And so I've seen what teams can do when people work together toward a common goal. So I'm looking forward to working with others to scale our business properly and possibly around the world globally, because that is an option.
Oh yeah. Never think small. That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So I do want to ask, because your situation is unique, but your situation is also in line with some of the other small business owners and entrepreneurs. There's always overlapping layers, and there's usually a couple pieces of advice that everybody has that might be similar, but a little different based on your own experience. So I wanted to ask you what we
Mhm.
ask everybody. What would your top
Yeah.
3 pieces of advice be for any entrepreneur or new business that is just starting out?
hmm Well, I've got my cheat sheet here. I knew these questions were coming, so I have a cheat sheet here for you.
Good. Always be prepared.
I'll say the first thing is this. The first thing is, at least for us, the project you undertake is probably going to take a lot longer than you think, and it's probably going to cost a lot more than you think. And we found with the software cost, someone told me a few years ago that, hey, whenever you get a software quote, you better triple that because that's what it's going to cost in the real world. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe that's being extreme, but to answer your question, the costs and the time involved are usually a lot more than you think they're probably going to be. So pick something that you really love, that you're really passionate about, and that you really want to work on for a long time.
Yeah, that makes total sense. We hear the passion thing is definitely on everybody's list. So that's for sure. As far as the cost and the time, being prepared for that, yeah, we've had answers that go along the same line with cash flow, managing your cash flow, managing, your time frames, and have realistic expectations and knowing that something is going to come up in between. So
Yeah, that's right. You're right. It seems like you have a fair amount of experience yourself with startups and seeing these kind of things.
well, that's typically what we like to cover on this podcast is we would like to hear everybody's journey from beginning to where they are. And it's usually the small things that they don't think are a big deal that inspire others. Like, in other words, everybody can go on a podcast and be like, my business is great. I had this great idea. I put in the effort and the time. We got, investors, and then now it's a super company and we're all happy. Nobody learns from that. You know what I mean? Everybody learns from the small guys who were like, it took me a year and a half and I was coming down to the end of my funds and I just barely didn't know if I was going to keep going or not. And then one little thing happened, which sparked this, and then that led to this. And then, so the journeys, we've heard them and we love hearing those journeys. So what I'm saying to you and the questions I'm asking you are coming from me listening to other people's experiences. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. It's nice. See, this is almost like life story writing for you, except it's like business story writing. So you're learning quite a bit about startups from talking to people. And it's the same thing as the life story writing, why people should write their story and share it. Because we can all learn so much from listening to people's life stories. Definitely. All right. Here's number two. Here's answer number two for you. I'd say number two is you have to believe in yourself because, a lot of times when you're inventing something new or doing something that's kind of unusual, people aren't going to understand it and they might not support you that much. Now, I've had a lot of support, so I'm lucky, but a lot of times it's not that easy for people. So you've got to really believe in yourself and you've got to keep going when it seems like you're going to fail or you want to quit. So you really got to believe in yourself. No one's going to give you permission to succeed. No one's going to say, yeah, do this. We think you should do this. A lot of times you have to have faith in yourself and your own ability. And that's easier said than done sometimes. And everyone has their own different religious belief and things. So I'm not going to go into religion. I'm not a super religious person, although I was an altar boy when I was young. But I'll just say this, especially as an older person, as you get older, we want to give back to the world. And I believe that people come into this world to help people, other people. That's why we're here, really. And I think we all get judged on that also. So really, it's in everyone's best interest to help each other out and that kind of thing. So religious aspect or not, whatever your passion or task or mission is, you think in this world, have faith in yourself and have faith in the creator if you do believe that, and have faith that you can do it. Because if you don't think you can, you certainly can't. If you think you can, you probably can if you persist long enough. The third one is something that I will give to Tony Hsieh, the founder of Zappos. Have you heard of him before?
Have not. I've heard of Zappos.
Okay, he was the founder. But let me say this: he sold it to Amazon for I think about almost $2 billion. But anyway, people come to him all the time. Hey, I want to be successful like you. How can I do it? He said, man, there's three keys to success: persistence, and persistence. So persistence is a big part of it. It really is. I mean, I think most of the real world stories are people that just persist and keep going and going and going, and they succeed eventually. But the media and these kind of things, that's not really sexy, So there's a lot of stories where people succeed overnight, and you hear about the story. Hey, I sat down at the bar and I wrote it on a napkin, and there it was. I was rich the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's
we
great.
hear this a lot. Our overnight success came after 20 years of hard work.
Yeah, that's true. But that doesn't sell, and that's not sexy. You know what I mean?
Right. You can't put that up on social media and have people follow you right away.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But I think too, at the end of the day, that's a character development also, having that persistence. I mean, that develops your character, as a person. So it's good for you also. But let me say this too. Besides Tony Hsieh, at Honda also, Mr. Honda himself was all about persistence also. And the Japanese, they really like the snapping turtle, because that turtle, when it bites you, it'll never let go. Even if you kill it, his head will stay attached to you. So the Japanese really like that kind of persistent attitude also.
All right. Well, Mark, it has been great talking to you and getting to know you. If people want to reach out and, start to write their own life story, or if they want to reach out and perhaps start writing a loved one's life story or a family member's life story, we have your website here as thelifewriter.com. Is there any other
Yes.
place that they can reach out to you, or do you prefer people to just kind of contact you through the website?
The website's good, but we also have a toll-free number also. So people are welcome to call or text me on the toll-free number. I'll give you that number if you would like to take it, if you want it.
Yeah, absolutely. Put it out there.
I'll just Okay, sure. It's the number is 888-501-7325. So we get a lot of calls and texts from people also. That's the fastest way. But my email address is marc, M-A-R-C, at thelifewriter.com also. So either one of those is fine. And I'm happy to chit chat with anyone. Even if you're not going to buy our product, I'm happy to talk to you and to talk to potential customers about how they can do it, possibly other ways too. Because life story writing is something that we feel passionate about, that everyone should do for their benefit, for their family's benefit, and for the benefit of society. So even if you're not going to buy our product, that's fine. Call me, text me, email me, and I'll try to help you find somebody to do it yourself. And with that being said too, if there's anyone that wants to would be tempted to collaborate with us, especially in terms of marketing, here I am. Let's chit chat.
Yeah, well, I'll make sure that we include the links to the website, the link to your LinkedIn page. Will include the email address and the phone number that you gave us as well. So those will be available in the show notes to this episode. And if anybody wants to reach out to us, if they have any questions or comments, you can leave a comment below this video on YouTube, or you can email us at hello@thebigpixel.net, or you can reach out to us on any of our social media channels. And we're even on TikTok. Don't tell David, but we have funny videos of him dancing on there. So David actually had to leave before this podcast was over. So I'm going to wrap it up. And I just want to say again, thank you very much for being our guest, Mark. It was very nice meeting you. And I loved hearing the story of Life Writer.
Hey, the pleasure was all mine. I appreciate your interest, and your questions were really, really sharp. No BS. So I appreciate talking to you. It's been fun.
Oh, thank you. All right. And so with that, we will see you guys next week.